for Mr. Dwyer, I wanted to, it may be an obvious, I wanted to ask you this question, which is that I heard what you said about DPKO and its work for press freedom and defending journalists, and I wanted to ask you how it's consistent with the Undersecretary General of DPKO explicitly and on camera and repeatedly refusing to answer questions about the rapes in Minova or about who's going to disarm the MNLA of particular media. How are these two positions consistent, and do you think it undercuts DPKO's ability to say that it really stands for the ability of critical and investigative journalists in the countries in which it has missions, since they use the same technique of trying to exclude journalists? Thank you.
Yeah, to Matthew Lee from Inner City Press. I mean, first of all, good to see you here. Thanks for the opportunity and indeed to give you an on-the-record answer on this matter. A little bit of context for audience who may not know the reference point, but first of all, Undersecretary General Ladsous, I think if you look at the record and you do the math, is one of the most active senior leaders of the United Nations in the media in terms of press stakeouts, press conferences, interviews and so on here, but also around the world when he travels. So I think that the record stands for itself. In relation specifically to this matter, where it is absolutely true that Undersecretary General Ladsous is on the record as saying to you, Matthew, that he will not take questions from you at this point. And he said that on the record at a noon briefing because of the intense and frankly quite obsessive personal slurs and innuendo that you continued to publish on your blog site. Now, he did say he's absolutely prepared to answer questions from you when that ceases. And that is the situation. So I will also add, now I want to finish my response to you, Matthew. The Department of Peacekeeping Operations and the Department of Field Support answers all of the questions that are asked by Inner City Press through my office, and I do that. I'm the spokesperson for Mr Ladsous. I do that in his name. You get answers from the department, you get answers from Mr Ladsous, but on the level in which he's answered you, when the personalised slurring and innuendo stops nothing to do with the job, with the performance of the department and so on, but the personalised slurring, which began before he took office, then you'll have direct engagement with him. And that's very clear. He wants to, but you need to change the approach. Needs to go red. It needs to go red before you speak.
Okay, I just wanted to narrow this down, and I really appreciate that. It sort of smacks of trying to dictate positive coverage, and I just want to give you one example. I mean, I'm still mystified by what if asking a question of his role in the 1994 Rwanda genocide as the deputy permanent representative of France and pointing at particular speeches that he gave, I don't consider it innuendo. I consider it a question that probably even President Bill Clinton admitted he made a mistake. And so to me, it's a journalistic question to say, what did he do in '94? What did he do on Haiti when he was the spokesperson for the French Foreign Ministry? There seems to be some disagreement that it's relevant what he did before he came to the UN, but it's never been pointed out. And I want to sort of look at the bigger picture here, which is that how can the UN tell governments you should answer critical journalist questions when a major USG says on camera, even ask questions about rapes in Minova, I won't answer your questions, and takes other journalists into the hall to answer them. So I'm asking you, maybe put in writing. You put in writing what these supposed, is it innuendo to ask what speeches he gave in the Security Council during the Rwanda genocide, or is that just an unfortunate thing that needs to be answered?
I think I need to respond to that briefly, but I don't want to skew the importance of the day, and especially, you know, we've just heard a passionate explanation of the heights of the importance of the media and the risks of the media in the newest country of the world, South Sudan. So I don't want to skew what the story is today, but I think it both warrants an answer, and I think I need to put some things on the record. Of course, you gave one single example there, and that was not personalised innuendo. But read your own blog site with critical eyes, Matthew. Herve the Drone Ladsous, Ladsous 2013 campaign mirroring the Coney campaign. This is personalised slurs of the worst order and baseless, just baseless. So I think no, Matthew, let me finish, and then we can take this offline. We can talk, but I don't think it does honour to the journalists of the world for us to let this go too far today. And I want to bring it, I hope Maha an opportunity to bring us back into focus. But In relation to Minova, which was an extraordinarily terrible case in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where a retreating army of the state, many of its members committed mass rape against their own civilians. And this was in an extraordinary situation where militia had taken over the eastern capital, Goma. The mission is tasked to work with that army, but is also tasked, we have a human rights due diligence policy, and we don't work with soldiers who don't meet those standards. And we have a human rights team that has to do investigations into such cases. All of those things were underway. The department has provided as much information and a regular information flow as we can on that matter. There's been progress, not enough. There has to be much more. And that information flow has been led by the Undersecretary General. The one last thing about taking correspondence out into the hallway, I was there. That was French radio interviews where it was done in that way. I was there. That's exactly what they were. You keep repeating it in the blog. That was a more in-depth radio interviews in French language, which was not convenient to do at the stakeout site. So I don't want to take this beyond that. I think that we need to come back to what today's all about. What you're saying is relevant, Matthew. I hope my response has clarified some points. I said in my first week here too, always happy to have a cup of coffee, talk with you about what you need for your reporting, make ourselves available in the best way that I can, but also explain the complexities of when something happens in the remote areas of South Sudan, or something happens in the remote areas of Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. You sitting in New York, me sitting in New York, I can't get the accurate, up-to-date information in 30 minutes all the time. And we have, as the United Nations, to be responsible in the information we share as well. So I just make that point, but I'd really like to bring us back to South Sudan, to Mexico, and to the challenges that we're talking about today.
Thank you, Kieran. And indeed, let's get back to the final part of this